Welcome to the very first episode of the Mahabharata series. Long ago, there lived a mighty emperor named Mahabisha, born into the glorious Ikshvaku dynasty. His greatest dream was to attain Swarga Loka, the heavenly realm. To achieve this, he performed 1,000 Ashwamedha yagnas and 100 Rajasuya yagnas. Through his courage, wisdom, and unmatched power, he united the entire land of Akhanda Bharata under one empire. Mahabhisha's empire stretched across many great kingdoms, including Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, Gandhara, Nepal, Cambodia. His rule extended over lands that today include parts of India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Afghanistan. No king of his time possessed such a vast empire. But how did King Mahabisha earn such greatness? We performed two of the most sacred rituals known to ancient India, the Ashwamedha Yagna and the Rajasuya Yagna. These ceremonies made him one of the greatest emperors in history. The Ashwamedha Yagna was unlike any ordinary ritual. A sacred horse was decorated with royal ornaments and released to roam freely across kingdoms. Wherever the horse traveled, that land automatically accepted the emperor's authority. If any king stopped the horse, war became inevitable. Victory meant another kingdom joined the emperor's empire. The second great ritual was the Rajasuya Yagna. Kings challenged rival rulers in battle. After victory, they established themselves as universal emperors. Through these sacred ceremonies, Mahabisha became the ruler of all Akhanda Bharata. Years passed. On earth, King Mahabisha was reborn as Prince Shantanu, the youngest son of King Pratipa of Hastinapura. As time went on, his elder brothers left the kingdom for their own paths. Destiny chose Shantanu to become the future king of Hastinapura. Little did he know, his past life was about to change his future once again. One day, King Pratipa called Shantanu. "My son, you are ready to rule Hastinapura. I will leave this kingdom in your hands and spend the rest of my life in meditation on the sacred banks of the river Ganga." Shantanu respectfully accepted his father's decision. After handing over the kingdom, King Pratipa left for the holy river Ganga. There, he devoted himself to deep meditation and spiritual penance. His only desire was to spend the rest of his life in peace, worship, and devotion. One day, as King Pratipa sat in deep meditation, a beautiful divine woman appeared before him. It was none other than Goddess Ganga. She slowly walked toward the king and quietly sat on his right thigh. King Pratipa opened his eyes in surprise. The king gently asked, "Who are you, divine lady? And why have you chosen to sit on my right thigh?" Goddess Ganga smiled and replied, "Great king, I wish to marry you." The king remained calm, then answered with great wisdom, "I've taken a sacred vow to remain faithful to my queen. Besides, you have chosen to sit on my right thigh. In our tradition, the right thigh is reserved for a daughter or a daughter-in-law. My wife alone has the right to sit on my left thigh, so I cannot marry you. But I have a son named Shantanu. I promise you, he will become your husband." Hearing these words, Goddess Ganga respectfully accepted the promise and quietly disappeared. Time passed. King Shantanu continued ruling Hastinapura with wisdom and courage. One day, while riding through the forests near the sacred river Ganga, he saw an extraordinarily beautiful woman standing peacefully by the river. The moment Shantanu looked at her, his heart was captivated. He felt as if destiny itself had brought them together. Without hesitation, Shantanu walked toward her. With great respect, he said, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Goddess Ganga already knew who he was, for she remembered the promise made long ago. Goddess Ganga smiled gently. She was pleased with Shantanu. But before accepting his proposal, she placed one important condition. "If you truly wish to marry me, you must promise never to question anything I do. No matter what happens, you must never stop me, never criticize me, and never ask me why." Shantanu was deeply in love. Without thinking twice, he agreed. "I promise. From this day forward, I will never question your actions." Hearing those words, Goddess Ganga accepted his proposal. Their marriage was celebrated with great joy and royal splendor. Soon after their marriage, a beautiful baby boy was born. The entire kingdom celebrated the arrival of the prince. But that very night, Goddess Ganga quietly carried the newborn child in her arms and walked toward the sacred river. Shantanu watched from a distance, unable to understand what she was about to do, with a calm expression. Goddess Ganga offered the child to the sacred waters of the river. The newborn disappeared beneath the flowing Ganga. Shantanu was completely shocked. His heart cried out to stop her, but then he remembered the promise he had made. Silently, he stood there, saying nothing. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. Soon, a second son was born. Once again, Goddess Ganga carried the newborn to the sacred river. Without a single word, she offered the child to the waters of the Ganga. King Shantanu watched in silence. His heart was breaking, but he remembered the promise he had made. He remained silent. The same thing happened again. A third child was born. Then a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh son. Every time, Goddess Ganga took the newborn to the river. Every time, she immersed the child into the sacred waters. Shantanu's heart shattered with grief. Yet he never questioned her, because he had given his word. Then, the eighth child was born. As Goddess Ganga lifted the newborn in her arms, she once again walked toward the sacred river. This time, King Shantanu could no longer remain silent. His father's love became stronger than his promise. He rushed toward her. "Stop, Ganga. I have remained silent for 7 children. But I cannot lose this child as well. Tell me, why are you doing this?" The moment those words left his mouth, the promise he had made was broken. Goddess Ganga stopped walking and slowly turned toward him. "My king, today you have broken your promise. The moment you questioned me, our time together came to an end. I must now leave you." Shantanu stood speechless. He realized he was about to lose the woman he loved. Before leaving, Goddess Ganga revealed the truth. These children were not ordinary human babies. They were the 8 Vasus, celestial beings who had been cursed to be born on earth. I freed the first 7 from their curse by returning them to the sacred waters. But this 8th child must remain on earth to fulfill his destiny. Holding the child close, Goddess Ganga disappeared into the flowing river. King Shantanu was left standing alone, watching the river in silence. Goddess Ganga looked at King Shantanu and said, "Listen carefully, my king. These 8 children were not ordinary humans. They were the Ashtavasus, the 8 celestial deities who once lived in heaven. A terrible curse forced them to take birth on earth. One day, the wives of the Ashtavasus were wandering through the forests of sage Vasishta's hermitage. There, they saw the divine wish-fulfilling cow, Nandini. Its beauty was unlike anything they had ever seen. One of the wives desired the sacred cow for herself. The youngest of the Vasus agreed to steal Nandini. The other 7 also joined him. Together, they secretly took the divine cow from sage Vasishta's hermitage. But nothing can remain hidden from a great sage. Using his divine vision, sage Vasishta immediately discovered the theft. Filled with anger, sage Vasishta opened his eyes. His divine power shook the entire forest. He declared, "For committing this sinful act, all 8 of you shall be born on earth as human beings." The Ashtavasus were horrified. They immediately fell at the sage's feet and begged for forgiveness. The Vasus cried, "Great sage, please forgive us. We are celestial beings. How can we live an entire human life on earth?" Seeing their sincere repentance, sage Vasishta's anger slowly subsided. He decided to soften the curse. Sage Vasishta said, "The first 7 of you will be freed immediately after birth. But the one who planned the theft will remain on earth for a long time. He will become one of the greatest warriors the world has ever known." Goddess Ganga looked at the child in her arms. "That child, is this 8th Vasu?" She gently smiled, for his destiny had only just begun. After hearing sage Vasishta's words, the 8 Vasus became deeply saddened. They prayed, "Please show us mercy, O great sage. If we must be born as humans, let our time on earth be as short as possible." Sage Vasishta looked upon them with compassion. Sage Vasishta replied, "The first 7 of you will be freed immediately after birth. But the one who led this crime will remain on earth for many years. He will become a mighty warrior and live a long human life." The 8 Vaishtas accepted their destiny. As Goddess Ganga was descending to earth, the 8 Vasus met her on the way. They bowed before the Divine Mother and pleaded, "Mother Ganga, please become our mother. Free us from this curse." Moved by their request, Goddess Ganga agreed. Goddess Ganga said, "I will give birth to all 8 of you. The first 7 will return to heaven immediately. The 8th will remain on earth to complete his destiny." That is why she immersed the first 7 children into the sacred waters of the Ganga. Now, King Shantanu finally understood everything. He realized Goddess Ganga had never been cruel. She was fulfilling a divine promise. The 7 children had been liberated from their curse, and the 8th child would change the history of the Mahabharata forever. Taking the 8th child with her, Goddess Ganga disappeared. She decided to raise the boy herself. The child would receive the finest education from the greatest teachers on earth. His destiny had only just begun. Years passed. The 8th child grew under the loving care of Goddess Ganga. She ensured that he received the finest education from the greatest sages on earth. He mastered the Vedas, the scriptures, politics, and the art of warfare. The young prince was destined for greatness. Under the guidance of the great sage Vasishta, he gained unmatched wisdom. Later, he became the beloved disciple of the mighty warrior sage Parashurama. There, he mastered every weapon, every battle strategy, and every form of warfare. Soon, there was no warrior on earth who could equal him. Goddess Ganga spoke to Shantanu. "My king, this is your son. His name is Devavrata. He has learned the Vedas from sage Vasishta. He has mastered every weapon under sage Parashurama. There is no warrior on earth greater than him." With those words, she placed Devavrata beside his father. King Shantanu embraced his son with tears of joy. At last, Hastinapura had found its rightful heir. The boy standing before him would one day become the legendary Devavrata. The world, however, would remember him by another name, Bhishma. But how did Devavrata become Bhishma? What terrible vow changed the destiny of the Kuru dynasty forever? That incredible story begins in the next episode. To be continued.